attachment to yourself, and then how aversion really destroys the relationship, that you can see. But some, from the beginning, somehow, even you didn't become, even you didn't get time to spend with that person, like immediately there is some kind of uncomfortable feeling, and even it came to me, and maybe some of you might have this same experience. So here it's a very difficult to answer, because even I didn't do something wrong very personally, but he took very personally. So that sometimes we felt there's no explanation towards it. Right here, it is very important. Now this thing happened. Of course, has to have a cause, because it's a result that I'm experiencing. So, but somehow I didn't do it this life, but somehow now we have to check. We do so many harms in this life, but all these result will not ripen in this life. But now this is a cause, and it won't be become wasted. Somehow, when we talk about the three types of 아니 지가서리 드분용주고를 시험을 준비 아니 통주용주 제대가랑 통해요 봐 냠용게 드네 가르래 렌장신의 용주 개와슈마 아니 그자 통주용주 그자 깨내용주 깨내용주 시도 준비 개와슈마데 렌장신의 용주 준비다 개와 슈미슈마도 많이 온도에도 상관은 방 듣지다 뒤에 되어 봐. 제가 안줘라야 confuse 가르쳐 없으나 통주 용주디 중나 레준저 여봐. 아니 샴바도도 상말로 아니 중마 중디 경험마다 저 매우선 그럴 때도 와. 안줘다 가르쳐래. 미 샴바지리아 아니 다다지 간연지 채원들 소설이야 도구통도 라고도 봐야 미션바든지 도구통도 다 거기냐마든지 두자 채레스 봐. 제 거기냐마든지 두자 채선 스타 로직스 그냥 거기든지 두자 채선 레준지 미야랑 타진 시리 다다가 이미 미신 아니 되네 양 가시에 두자지 채 아니 저부도의 타임에 아니 저부 코란이 지게 나송제부이 내래 미런 고고당이 내래 격준식이 내래 응외든지 충분히 코란랑 유전받다 밑에 충분히여받다 장부여받다 봐 된듯이 저거 봐가지고 마도지게 답체들이 연구에 그래야지네 연구 말에 동년디 네버도 연구래 가전스나 고주래 유인도 좀 비트고 이지미지 연구래 다디 이제 등한 줄래버다 답시 마셔나 아니 단다디 계속 좀 보시와라 숨은 신치정 안쪽이 냐면 프로토스 말봐 장가 너르드나 레좀들라 이제 니야데 개치주데 류딘데지 사츠 쇼라 저거든지 연구래 스타 맞춰 봐도 네 그냥 들으면도 가서 그래 이제 되지름도
And so a very important part of this here is that in terms of we're not going to be able to practice kind of properly in the way that Shantideva is talking about here unless we can get a very strong sort of understanding, almost a kind of decisive and a kind of strong trusting faith, almost a decisive sort of way encountering the kind of law of karmic cause and effect. And if we don't have that, it's difficult for us to really engage in the practices the way that Shantideva is encouraging us to do. And so in relation to that, in that context, there are in Abhidharma Kosha, I think in Vasubandhu's compendium of Abhidharma, he talks about there's mention of 3 different kinds of karmic experience, the way in which we experience karma. One is that the result of a karmic action is experienced directly in this life. So it's visibly experienced directly in this life. The other one is that it's experienced in birth, when we're born into the next life, and in that life it'll be experienced. Or the third one would be an experience of that karmic result beyond the next life, but in some future life. And so we tend to get a bit confused about this. We tend to think that the one that is, if the first one, if the first one is kind of manifest to us, then we will think that then karma is kind of true. Karma is working. That when there's a kind of direct manifestation of the karmic results in this life, and when we look at others, we sort of if something bad happens to the other person, we may often say, but in terms of others, we may often say, they've experienced a bad something bad has happened, and they experienced a bad result, and therefore a bad kind of ripening karmic result, and therefore they must have done something wrong. They must have done something wrong in order to receive that bad karmic result. Chanti somat and michik the gatsin share down cause of dukshe share la sopadin zigi kare konzogi dugnyaki double member
pena duja cheval tene ya kashi dubu dewa launching yorba.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you confused to was.
Yeah, so we get confused because there are many situations that we see where there are people in the world who steal, lie, cheat, deceive, perform all kinds of negative actions, but then manifestly the sort of results that they receive seem to be sort of good resources, or good conditions, or good experiences, positive experiences. So then we get confused about this, because we see people committing negativity and receiving seemingly receiving positive results, and vice versa for those being good who seem to receive negative results. So we have to sort of get to this state where we have a strong trusting faith in the law of karmic laws and effects, so that we have that understanding that there must be there must be karmic results. There must be karmic results because there's a cause, and the cause must eventually end up in a karmic result. But if we don't have a strong overarching sense of how the karmic say namadan chimeki goyamena nanzudigi shiwalaki nyamlen is a bit dati che chukumindus kanzana dijuba. Yeah.
Connection unstable ski. Good way.
This good
way. Okay. Jangata Rang la ya tindigi shingi never chia di and city jubu tamshimare. Gawangama dress love to Timbe, Tindrikawangama yiji level shisha juvetone. Tandadi Gawangama you will go to the troops have. Tanda get chumbushwell you do jet to zo. Shadow chip to just go to jet de Gawangama the Chumalaya. Muni to ne, Yiji, Mason and Jan Jamene, 비제 아주 마소네 태좀 마소네 튕규르기 태좀 나로라 다 비제 예초가 인사를 다가라마도 로서 민둑세 다들 태좀도 요래 이나연 튕규르기 태좀 가운데 대딩에 손을 그냥야래 저랑 알아주고 마타 디비트 마소나 계속 좀 쉬어라고 송셔줘디 이나면은 섬제니 시점 났다가 요만 로지 되게 봐 제장가 디케 좀 버리셨어 예
So before, really, in terms of the way Shantideva is trying to teach us in this text, then there really has to be some kind of, for instance, in relation to someone who's causing harm to us, then we have to be able to think that it's not, it's not just a kind of effect, a result from something from this life, but from something in a previous life. And really, the way Shantideva is teaching here and explaining explaining the way of practicing is based out of is really based in a strong presentation of the existence of past and future lives. And so you could say that the kind of specific students or the specific the specific disciples or students of this particular text and the way Shantideva's teaching would be people who have that sort of feeling towards the existence of past and future lives. Now, for people like ourselves, there's always a little bit of doubt in our minds, but perhaps within the three different kinds of doubt, we could say that it'd be important to have a doubt tending towards the fact, so that we think, that it's a doubt, but that's probably true. That seems very feasible. That seems quite possible that there are past and future lives. So with that kind of, it's still a doubt, but with that kind of context where we feel that past and future lives are probably the reality, then this is the way to engage with this text. With this text.
저 메도지 소주스 동료 유는 gem시 셴는 근데 지주 랑게냐 뭐시 제보이노 스타 보스노 46 베나 니베 송마들이 로면 나서다 랑게 레지 디케나 칸실라네 토르차스 보스노 46 please.
Just like the guardians of the hell worlds and the forest of razor sharp leaves, so is this suffering produced by my actions. With whom therefore should I be angry?
디가도 베디 야고시버도 남샤준동 아주 다니야와스 지금 셈나로야 마가르 마데르시 니베콜시디 오 다니야와 드제요르 슈주요르 시디 점베 메청마도 베 아주 마소네 사자 독자지려야 아니도 조구요 선럽지 삼루디요 베나 사자 베나 시리아 선럽지 당 아주 마소네 스위즐랜드 시리아를 바 조구요 선럽지 초바지 레기요 마메죠 다 디베디게 가르코우도스나 냐와세년디 냐와세년다 아니 마란주기 다지 뭐 디지기 튼주세야다 또 참말로 개치슈디 아니 조 가르스나 아니 레기 파자지기 민베도 삼로 당단지기 투보다 노르베 텔레데니 아니 지게 가서래 냐와 세지 베나 냐와는 그 지지시니지 도스지제 먼저 통주요 통통 말이 냐외나로야 지기 아니 베다지기 지금 참아야 랑슈요 선로보다 지기 베 가리네 지금 두부에 선로보다 두 상말로 아주 주의를 아주 주의 말이 다수 주의는 냐와베 주의 또 냐와 딩용요 답변은 알아주 미카시야 탕남에도 녀바도 저리 안 베셈나는 암자다 베직자다 베 직레디 그래서 정말 가르치는 그런 생기주 딩안 좀 말해 제 생각다 딘데 이두선베 딘데 생기주도 수수 남도 내 차로래 남도 어디 가wan 차로스나 아니 남도 차서 시지 못하면 디 바자 된 차고 바자 좀 레들 좀 레 같은 중은 삼로 당단지기 저기 말했어야 돼. 또 삼로 당단지기 터는 교문 것이 우측으로 돼야지. 딩
It's frozen a bit, I think.
양치죠. 디송에 고도에
Digi Basha the Susiki Namdo Digi Bashala Basha the Raleigh, Mari Bachi, Marigi Bashala Raleigh, doing Mari Bacha daily Mimba di body now, Rason, di Gerard.
머리 맞춰서 바자텔 된 바자디 관된 된 중벌에서는 레일 된 중벌. 레디 ኳල් 된 중벌에서는 레 소킹 삼로 땅땅 된 중벌이 있어. 인도 잠베당 아란주 삼로 땅땅 된 토네. 아니 내가 치에도 좀 백해신 뭐 임시 되는 부분도가. 재상관에 왔으니 뒤에 아주 마소네. 아니 비기니 지금 친이 봐 아주 마소네. 지금 통야유의 순으로 진짜 말했어. 수수수수 심 삼당 반직당 심 초보 되기 때문에 통야치레스에 순으로 진짜 리그와 디인도선배 가르쳐나 이 바작은 누가 레기 바작은 누가 샤르 다가랑 통구요를 세치 어디 송도 잠베다 디나신 빼디케 원체 다 대형 가르쳐나 라운드기 다 세치 알아 네버 지 두스네티 예디 쿠란 네 겨왕에 파잘 때는 중요하지. 그 안에 내게 그 미상을 내지냐로서는 말이 말 내지냐 차버리 가르치네. 그 미션벌 내지도 그런 부분을 내지도 그런 김에는 내지도 펜토도 이내 아직 오늘 휴지기도 가르치르시나 다티 아주 인지게 마서나 unfinished business. 다티 돈이 베다 또 자는 것도와 계속 주라.
And so here we have a sort of
재정을 타마들이야. 타마들라. 아니 다 수수 레기 지셔주 지라 소소소 콘도 서긴 베세지도 뒤에도 그래 수수수수기 수셔주지나 미 콘도 서마로 담산 김쇼로 다 잡중앙라 아 된데 삼로 당야 돼 랑기 수셔주지레샤 예 코레스기여데 코닝지 콜레 인지 중고야디 겐로드 예 수셔샤스다 니시네 샘플 hö를 쳐도 봐 재상가디 마심 내면여도.
And so here we have a sort of very sort of clear where we have take an example and then sort of join that to the meaning. So the example that's being the kind of deeper meaning. So the example that's being given in the verse here is about the hell realms and the guardians of the hell realms and the different environments of the hell realm. And whenever we hear just about anybody, whenever they hear about the hell realms, it makes them feel kind of uncomfortable, unhappy. And this is easy. The hell realms are not things that are sort of really accessible to our, visibly or experientially. But you can imagine, it's got the same kind of sensation that if you're told that you have to make a journey from Switzerland to Syria in the current time. And then, going from a comfortable place to a bad place, and you have to go. There's that kind of discomfort and feeling will arise. But what's being said here is that the hell realm, the experience of the hell realm, the kind of environment and incomplete experience of the hell realm, and this can also be related not just to the hell realms but to say to the sort of animal the living in the animal realm as well. The main thing that we have to remember is that the experience, the environment, everything was created under the power of karmic imprints. So here it mentions the hell realms, the guardians with their swords, and the trees with the kind of leaves which cut the flesh to pieces. Now we can't see these things. These are not things of our experience at present, but these are what he's saying is this is the experience of the beings which are born in the hell realms. And so we can even see, you know, for if someone just in this kind of our kind of in world and environment, if people get very fearful, scared or fearful, we can see that they we often say that there's sort of, it's under the they've kind of, it's come from their kind of conceptual, their way of thinking, or their kind of mental conception. And so actually from their own mental conception, that's the kind of experience that's been created by them. So what here we're saying is that we so when we the what we're saying is that, you know, the one, the experience comes from the actions of the person who you know, it's caused by the person who then engages in the particular kinds of karmic action, and therefore leaves the karmic imprints. You know, the karmic imprints are laid down, and it comes, and that's where the experiences come out of. So if so it's very much related to so we say that where do the imprints, so if we're saying that it comes out of the imprints, then we're sort of saying, well, where does the karma come from? Sorry, where do the imprints come from? The imprints come from karma. Where does the karma come from? The karma is created in, you know, as by the person who is actively engaged in the particular kinds of action. So that and the way that the process of mental thinking that goes on in that person is what creates the karma. So these are things that are very difficult to see. It's very difficult to validate with, you know, with sort of validly cognize. But I think it's possible to see that it's the mind's thinking, and particularly it's the kind of mistaken ways of the mind's thinking that then lay down the karmic, the potentiality of the karmic imprints, which lead us, which then bring us, you know, future suffering. And so that the hell beings is used as the example here. But the meaning, when we're bringing the kind of direct meaning into this, is to, you know, when we say our enemy harms, you know, an enemy harms us, and we have that kind of way of experience, then it has to be that the enemy is harming us due to the imprints from previous lives. And, you know, it has, you know, there, so that, you know, and we think, well, they're not harming others, they're harming maybe just me, or they, you know, they're helping their wives or their families, they're not harming them, but they're harming me. And why are they, you know, why are they not harming others, but they are harming me? And so this is you know, this is the experience of unfinished business between ourselves and the other person. And there's, you know, so actually, if we can understand that it's created by our own previous karmic imprints, then it's no need to get angry. It'd almost be like, well, it was my mind that did it. It was me. It's kind of like, if you could really think like this, it would be like that. I made, you know, it's not his fault or their fault. Sorry. It's, I kind of caused it. I kind of created it to happen. So there's no need to get angry. And even it could almost be, we could almost laugh at ourselves, and the mind become relaxed if we could really think like this, in terms of how the karmic experiences arise.
If we made any kind of a mistake, is it possible that you become so angry at yourself? Mostly no, I think. Mostly people would, in my experience, I would feel like, yes, I misunderstood. Oh, I did it by not knowing. And there's no anger much there. But if somebody did that without without knowing or with knowing, but it's kind of a sin for us, and then we attack them. So Shantideva knows this kind of feeling very well, so that he said, well, if it is your own mistake, if you could say these enemies are attacking due to something that happened, because you have brought up something already, you don't realize it now. And then if we try to think, yes, that's true, actually, that in the past life, I'm 100% sure I have done something very bad to that person, then automatically there's no anchor at towards yourself. It's much more feel like you will feel more kind of relief to practice more. Like, yes, now I need to purify the rest of the karmas. And then when we look at our karmas, my goodness, then there's countless. It's more countless than this, the dirts, the atoms in this universe and the whole universe. Then automatically the answer is there a way to seize this kind of karma? And then the answer has given by the Buddha, in saying that all this, the karma is caused by the ignorance mind. So once we can reduce the ignorance mind and then attachment, and then this we can le nyom goba karsore le nyom gobe rawanch tobe yu dang jing da chakwa ni ya ano zo ma ji gong ne chi che tobe na
Oh yeah.
che tobe na ani tene le tang tame mo me ji yo de zo sang lo le ya ni bu de de mo goba ani ji karsore 제 딜레 탈 레이터다 녀모고 탈주여지 아니 좀 되게 타진 송도 아니 진이 디인도 선배 신에 좀 된들이야 믹스기 안에다 최된 저 자신 무슨 나부터 믹스 대버지게 용사로 봐 가서
건데 디 키마테 그서 고님한테 스스기 뉴몬다 스스기 다선다 뉴몬드 고님한테 디 제를 카리송을 디스코군데 거기
고념 레 뭐가 타메버 레지도 선배다 그래서 상월로 매워 마소나 레디 연구도스 아니 다 줘야면도 아니 차고제서기 니도 세기 베시고 지금에 베시고지 차고제서 시드조에 고매워 차야면도 디인도 선배다 개시주디 대다 탐지 아니 레기 원구도 시지 라마메버도 샤롱구요레 아니 레디 고주 요레베스나 레 고주 요레데 레 아니 지게 자원이는 레 땡도 세버세데 다 자원이 아이요 말 그전서도 답에 아주 레 마사베 껍지요 말봐 레 사사버라 아니 레 펠링구려 아니 베장 탐에보다 몸에버 지레 근데 아주 마소네다 레 세베 탑이 약속 가져서도 아니 주 등진리야 네 주등진리야 냐부된 아니 되네 차바디로 고는 지체토이나 네 정신기 레뇽 먹을지 좀 되게 람때나 와
and so you know, the karmas we've accumulated are endless. You know, there's no time when we're not accumulating karmic action, you know, accumulating karma, and so it's always on the increase. There's no time when we're not sort of doing it and doing things which accumulate karmic action. And so so it's, you know, how to put an end to, how to completely exhaust all of the karmas. Now the cause of all of this is the grasping at the self, and then that, from that stems the attachment. And by being able to, this was the kind of great, why we consider the teachings of the Buddha to be so great, is to focus on this cause of the self-grasping. And if we're able to, also, because not just karmas are endless, enemies will be endless. We can't destroy or overcome all of our enemies. The objects of our attachment are also endless. We can't sort of there's all of these things have no end without and therefore because we're under the sway, we're other powered by our karma, then we have to look for a way in which we can exhaust that karma. And the best way is to focus on is to find a way to counteract the self-grasping using antidotes to able to sort of level out or level down the self-grasping to gradually reduce the self-grasping, which is the cause. And then, so this is the best way of solving all of these problems. And then as we do that, then slowly the results of that, our attachment and stuff, are then also leveled out. So it's only through engaging in the antidote to the self-grasping that all of these situations can be solved and that the karma can be eventually exhausted.
47 다 다게 레기 꿀체는 달 내제 남중데 데니 심진 년 동나 다게 타다 말아kam자. Was number 47, please?
Having been instigated by my own actions, those who cause me harm come into being. If by these actions they should fall into hell, surely isn't it I who am destroying them?
다디 양 가소래 슐러가디안 지가소래 직디 셈 펜부직 간도슬라나 다든지신 삼로당단디 고구도와 저장가 주 파르벌는 알로 네베지 긴기 간사디 아니 알로 네베지가 쇼아스 랍체 니에기 파 레긴 자바지 쇠차샤스 다 콜라다 라비오 말에데 이네 내가 다가란 체셔 봐 저장을 끌버쳤네 세치단다 제서름 부치기 자바나로라디 식디 숙심부 송샤 어데도와 다라도와디 다게 레기 꿀체네세 치고 다라도와 준주 하나도와 꿀체네세 어디에 오시도 즉배 숙심부도 디가란조 콘도사 사투 담산 겨투 말데 사차네 당한도 또 최고도 삼삼실 레벨 까블라 아니 대인지미지 다게 레기 꿀체네 세 치디에 오도다 꿀체네 달러 뇌제 남 중벌이스다 뇌제스도 자드제 반남도 중벌이스 다 때들 하지로 봐 저장가다 중벌 인상스 다 가르치긴스나 테니 심진년 동나스 양 뒤에 가서 심진 녀와도 개등 얘기 콜이야 연조 디고 사이 고급직 제비나 네발 넬렌체비나스 삼도스탄에 오도와 개디 크고 알이 네바치 단단 네바치야디 개왕에 매기 가지고 버르리아 얘기 규민교와 집이 두고들었더니 중벌에 당동양 코리앙의 네바치 고급 슈처 당세도 소소도 내내체비나 고연조 공부 슈처를 사야 아니 차도 슈처를 랜섬 슈처를 또 시도베이나 아니 니콜이 니월은 얘기 다 로마서 저도 지도스 로바 지도스 니엘도나스 디니 심진 니엘도나스 다게 타다 말아컴 세티 다디기 니에기 심진티 아니 지게 다단다 전주심 고린자 심진티 저버티 꺄매방 괴매바 네스페 소소하게 지기 듀딘디지 체벌된 디고 디비디고 체매바 준 용고에 미신비 디디수수 띄고 타면바데 아니 니에게 코니와를 땅나서 딩마소스 그봐 제장가 달린 얘기 닝지 친구 유도 교배세 따디 측디 레고와 닝지 친구 유도 교배 semjen 테스 그봐 다다다 닝지 마냥 비교드가 레고와 데데드베 추수도 당기면 세도 말라캄 세디 말라 세도 점베 니코 라그멘스 라그멘스도 점베 트라 당기면스 트라 당기면스도 닝지기 유니바 레그멘스 말라캄 랑기 셈란 더바 인데 라버 제베 제셔바고서 타코 얘기 매그 얘기 안에 가르쳐 버리 닝지기 유니 냠로도 세지 아니 상로디 레트고 레스 어디 야 쇼좀 부르샤 시티
Dawananga, I guess it she will like
오다 계속 더
gives a jero.
가사 대다 말라캄 셰랑게 셈다 더바 제바인데 라고라 차 셰바고스 라루도 스타 라루스는 주수 톨라도 톨라도 단디 닝지기 미변은 말라도스
Yeah. And so in this in verse number 47 here, it's what's the sort of factors within this verse which help us to which are of benefit to our mind. And in terms of the person who's harming us, the harmer, we sort of think like, I caused this. I made this. I made this with my own karmic hands, so to speak. That's what actually happened. And in the first line of the verse, it uses this word, which in the English, I'm not sure if it, having been instigated by my, so the first line says, having been instigated by my own actions. So, of course, this is very difficult for us when we're in the full throw of our anger to really think like this. But as as if we can calm down a little bit, then it would be very good for us to think like this, as the first two lines say, having been instigated by my own actions, those who cause me harm come into being. So literally, I created this myself. And if again in the future this person, the one who's harming me, get under the sway of anger or competitiveness or some other negative emotion, if they again give me a great opportunity to sort of react to that anger in a negative way, then I will again become the cause for them to for that person's birth in the lower realms, or in the hell or the lower realms. And so then it says, so if this is suffering is in second, third and fourth lines of the verse, so if this suffering is produced by my own actions, with whom therefore I should be angry, it says. So this is a kind of way of meditating on a kind of way of sort of contemplating sort of the essentials of bodhicitta, imagining that person has no protector, that they have no refuge, and that if on the basis of these negative things that they're doing, then they'll have to suffer countless, just in the ordinary sense, they'll have to suffer these countless negative ripening results of their actions. And so it's almost like I will become a cause to send them to hell, and that really isn't okay. And so we have to, it should be a cause for us to continually not to allow our compassion to deteriorate or weaken in any way for that person. And in the last line in the Tibetan, it says in the English, surely it isn't it I who am destroying, if these by actions they fall into hell. But actually, in the Tibetan it says malakam, which is a kind of self-referring question, but it's like to not lose, but in the sense of not spoiling them, not spoiling them in the sense of not letting them go astray almost. And so in here we are in Gyaltsab Je's commentary to this verse. He says, if through harming me the person is thrown into the lower realms, then have I not destroyed that person? Saying this to my mind, I scold it, saying, I have thrown them into the lower realms. That's and so but this this is also a sort of, there's this sense of Rinpoche did it. Malaya say susugi konzulu mo tola mataya. Tola tanga.
tola mandroya the kari tola mandroya si 닝지 gi migba ne mo tola mandroya.
Yeah. So in
mo semjen tamje ba semjen tamji susu 닝지 gi migba na lo le kemena tola ndo se gi shese yo. Tanda di chenju simbe pen song sa ba.
Yeah.
제시 비추어라 chenju ta 계속 정은조 리제 조원에 chenju semda 닝지를 다 미구 시우지 예배 미들 납주 경고 유도 sembe 다디 아주 sem나 예예버려 제상가 다 졸라도 다스 졸라도 뺏어 그래야지 어디래도.
So also this also what is the sense in which you're not losing them, or not spoiling them, but not spoiling them in the sense of giving them too much, not making them go bad. It's like not to lose the opportunity to take them as the object of our compassion. That's how we're sort of not losing them. So the whole of the text, right from the beginning, when it talks about Shantideva talks about the benefits of bodhicitta, and how all of Shantideva's advice to the students of disciples of his disciples and students and the readers of the text is completely within the embrace of compassion and bodhicitta. And so that should really be with us at all times in that sense. And so here also, when we say, it's almost like I can't let the opportunity to take that person who's harming me as the object of my compassion. That's how it comes out. And all of and this should be the case for all sentient beings, that there should always be this sense that we don't want to lose the opportunity to we should always take all sentient beings as the object, as the kind of focal object of our compassion, and not let them go out of the sight of the object of our compassion. So that's also a kind of context here, which is contained in the root verse.
또 드린 데 하시겠네. stop here. Okay. That gives you the most important when we are feeling angry at someone, or angry is a strong word. Maybe when you feel like there's some uncomfortable feelings towards some of your friends or your enemy, it is very important, I think, to think whether in this world nobody will is going to agree that we need anger to protect ourselves. But yes, some people do, but most people, the people who is intelligent enough to understand, they won't never agree with this. So For us, it is very important, I think, when this uncomfortable feeling towards your enemy is there, then it is a moment, it's an opportunity, it's a golden opportunity for us to bring all the logics and the reasons that the one is there's no objectively inherently existence of enemy, so-called enemy. And then secondly, very important that why that person is so aggressive, so disturbing towards me is something that this is not only the force from this life's cause, but this is something to do with our previous life. Then this gives you kind of a base to overcome, to meditate. And then it should give you a room to purify. And then the best purification, best purification is starting from in the conventional way, the bodhicitta. He is saying, how could I become a cause that person when he's angry and harming me, that I contribute something to him that he has to suffer more in his future lives. I'm not going to take this kind of responsibility. This is unthinkable. That is a brave action of a bodhisattva. And then the most ultimate path or purification is when we see something solitarily there, the enemy, then investigation. Where is this? Yes, there is a harm. Yes, there is some kind of uncomfortable feelings to that person. But still, sometimes it is difficult. Ranzo control sabe kabla ya, ani tindigi control sasegi shiji, right? Juda jen chuli te mugo begi, do samdang ya, juda jen chuli te mugo begi dark se chik shang do zambe, takbe sunrupchi. Ini shibiji be kasore gyawangamalan dewa medini, gyawa dilen dewa medini, 지금 매진도 훈련을 getting sunrupchi 통해야 돼. 아니 메타발로 소버도 공부 돕기 아니 가서 떠지 정환진이 동안세도 조금 되게 아니 규된 建된 계구 요가 직도 아니 된지기 가서 주도바디 아니 지금 알아주 비기네 쉬우지 덕시기 때문에 샤딩이 손럽시 덕시기는 쉬우지 샤딩이 손럽지 통구 열어대 덕시 코란데 아니 강사라면도 아니 덕시를 때네 비게 지 강사 시제 능이지 샤르면 뒤에 아니 레면도 개대 덕시를 때니 샤교기 아니 샤르데 강사데 아니 아주 다레스 라베이나 아니 그 때니 샤르베 강사디 파제 원주 잡에 덕실는 미도 다 덕실하는 메뉴 잡에 코랑기에게 축두버지 딜 콘도사선 쓰지라 해서 라스마로 봐 대인도 잡에 고 아란주 다티 남전의 송부이 리포트 조다 타과도 아니 우미숑의 송셰교기 아니 축두세티 다디 시비자신 버셔 축두세 주방 아주
이라.
또 촉둡세 돼. 딱 자원이 민도 세 선보지하고 군주유나 아나 아주 맞으나 콘도 사사기 시지다 차과지스 시지 아니 배 자원이 말하든지 어디지 충분히나 다 뷰리피케이션 약속도 되인스레
Yeah.
다디하고 용야라 다디조 심슈 디게체도 아니 차제 멘데 피야 아니 곰 집어가래 야고 요나 오늘 전에 어디 지금 탈라마로 쏘았다게 또 되리 뒤돈다 디인스다
Yeah. So in terms, in terms of us and the and how we're sort of the basis of the anger, when we have in terms of someone, when we see them with the eyes of anger, then the very basis, the focal point of our anger just appears to us to be completely unrelated to this enemy. Is just totally unrelated to, it appears in a way as they're totally unrelated to kind of causes and conditions. It's not that object is totally unrelated to causes and conditions and past and future lives. We don't see any of those relationships at all. And so if we were to a little bit contemplate on impermanence, or the fact that that everything arises from certain causes and conditions, then we have this then that would help us to sort of reduce. So we have this very solid person in front of us, the basis of our kind of negative emotions, and this, if we are able to think that actually if we were to start to analyze and check whether that person really is the basis of designation of that person the person itself. If the basis of designation were the person itself, the person would exist from its own side. But if so, we have this sense that the enemy is really solidly the basis of the basis of designation of the on the basis. But if we start to check and we start to analyze and we start to realize that if we can't find, it's difficult for us to find the enemy in the basis of designation of the enemy, and therefore the person seems to not exist so strongly from their own side. Then they if they're not from their own, if the enemy doesn't exist from their own side, then they couldn't from the side of their basis of designation, and they wouldn't be the basis for our anger. And in the texts such as the Pramana literature, and also in the text on the Middle Way, it talks about this word, which in Tibetan is sutup. It's something like very solid or very concrete, something like that, very solid and concrete. And it's if we can work on this to understand that the person out there who we're angry with is not a solid concrete person, that they lack the they lack the permanence, the unitary and kind of independent form of self, then this will loosen our sense that the basis of our anger is actually so solid out there. So this is the way, by analyzing either that the person doesn't exist from their own side, and that the aggregates of the person are not the actual harma, or through this way of even meditating on how they lack permanence, independence, and being a unitary self. This is the best form of purification. This is kind of real purification, to do this, because it weakens the grip of our negative emotions. And of course, there are other purification practices such as prostrations, offering mandalas, reciting mantras, beseeching the gurus. But these are all for the purpose of this form of purification, which is the main form of purification.
Okay, thank you very much. Now dedication. Shambhala.
Yes, Rinpoche.
Okay.
So in the essential Serkong Rinpoche WhatsApp group, dedication phrase. Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I've heard, day and night through the four reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. In a land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rinpoche.